Hello and welcome to the Hooniverse podcast. I'm your host. I can't think. I was going to think of a funny name, but I ain't got shit. So I'm just Jeff tonight, and this is Ron. What's up, Ron?
What's up? How's everybody doing?
Oh, see, that sounds so good.
As if anybody could actually answer me in real time. How are you doing, Jeff?
Good. I'm good. I'm good. I have a nice full glass of wine in front of me. How about yourself?
What you sipping on?
Just some red wine. I don't even know what it is. My wife ran out and grabbed some shit.
Red blend.
Mm-hmm.
I am
just some delicious grape.
I have a tall glass of bullet bourbon.
That is a tall glass.
Yeah, it is. It's probably a quarter water, but I just
okay
because of the new setup, it's really not convenient. It's not conducive to getting up and walking around. So I'm here for the long haul. This better last me an hour.
Nice. All right, sweet. Good to know.
What happened to you? I don't see you.
You can't see me?
I cannot see you. Like, it's not like you're frozen, but it's just it's like your camera's off. It just there's a J.
Because I can see both of us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I don't want to do that. Where did the side thing go?
When you went out to check episode count, I think is when we lost you.
Yeah, I stepped out for a second, but I'm here. Let me see. Let me do this. I'm gonna stop it and restart it. Just because I don't know why it's doing that. Because I am here. Hold on 1 sec.
Go for it.
Okay, now I'm definitely off. And how about now?
Hey, there's my guy.
Okay, I didn't have to. All right. There we go. Welcome back to the show. Really big show. I'm good. I want to dive into this and kick it off with a topic you're going to know more about than I will, but I don't know how much you'll know because these things are usually, they keep these things under wraps. But you are on that team.
Surprises.
Electrikhana.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Walk us through it. Tell us all the deets that you know.
Walk you through it. Well, I did interview Mr. Ken Block for another podcast.
Yep.
The Hoonigan podcast. But anyhow, that was a live show, which is kind of cool. And Ken was very gracious to join us and answer some of the questions that I had, even though I think he was annoyed. Apparently, nobody gives a fuck about vehicle speed when it comes to Gymkhana videos. So
nobody gives a fuck about what?
Vehicle speed. As opposed to like ground speed, as opposed to wheel speed. So, if you ever have the opportunity, don't ask Ken about that.
Yeah, they don't want to. They don't.
That's my only advice. But
most race car drivers, unless it's like some endurance racing stuff, if they have to know it for corners, and then like some off-road guys will tout it, but most of the time they're like, I care about engine revs. Right. I don't care about engine speed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that was kind of the response that I received. But anyway, that's a different podcast. Yeah. So what I know about it and what I knew about it before was it was filmed in Vegas at night. It was hotter than a motherfucker. It was impossible. Like they basically accomplished the impossible in shutting down parts of the strip. Huge intersections, certain casinos, casino entries and driveways and stuff. And my takeaway from it as a fan, and I got access to the film the night before it released, so it's not like I've been sitting on it for months and months. But my reaction as a fan is I didn't miss the noise that much because the car actually makes some crazy I hate to say it, but Tron-like noises. There's a lot of gear whine. It sounds mechanical and it's not manufactured sound. So, even to somebody like myself that loves the sound of a short stroke, high revving V8, like there's nothing better in the world to me. Like this, I set my expectations kind of low as far as the sound of the vehicle, but was pleasantly surprised. So, I see a bunch of people commenting shit like, "Oh, I've never watched stupid fucking EV do donuts like watching an RC car." Well, fucking RC cars do some amazing things too that you could never do in your fucking F-150 with a fucking cherry bomb muffler, asshole.
Right.
So anyway, like the video, just like the violence, like the speed and the violence of some of the stunts was what really stuck with me and was super impressive. Like 270-degree spins at 80 miles an hour, 80, 90 miles an hour. Like,
Yeah.
it was really impressive. And it was, at times like, fuck, like that's incontrollable. Like throwing a car into a backward slide at 80 plus miles an hour and then having any sort of control over it, but control with, 2 electric motors and 4 powered wheels with no center diff connecting them, and like just understanding how the vehicle dynamics change and how the car puts the power down to the pavement, unlike anything that Ken's ever driven, was what was
Hmm.
most impressive to me, because they totally mastered it. And like, people will complain about, oh, they tried that trick like 3 times, I see the marks on the ground, right?
They've been saying that since
Oh,
Gymkhana 1.
okay, but like when you see the tracks, like especially the crazy like backwards 180,
Yeah.
um there's like 2 or maybe 2 other sets of tracks, but they're all within like 3 to 4 feet of each other,
Yeah.
which to me is not disappointing. It's fucking impressive that he nailed it every single time and like was
Right.
so consistent with it, with a vehicle medium that's basically brand new to him. And
Yeah.
it's, overall, like my takeaways are very impressive driving, definitely mastering a unique vehicle that like
Hmm.
the likes of which did not exist before Audi spent 10, 12, 15 million dollars to build this for him, specifically for Gymkhana. Like that's
Yeah. That's
that's
wild.
what's craziest to me, is that I'm sure when Scotto and Ken started out, they didn't ever anticipate that a major manufacturer would build them a bespoke Gymkhana car
Right.
just for
Right.
them to rip for these videos. So, you know, uh, our buddy Johnny has the Inevitable podcast, and I always say like that's the perfect name for a podcast about EVs, because that's what
It is. Yeah.
EVs are. This is inevitable. Like you don't want to be the last one. You want to be the pioneer
Yeah.
to kind of introduce this technology to motorsports or hooning world, stunt driving world, as opposed to be the last. So
Right.
I mean, I think it was really bold of Audi to build the car, Hoonigan to take on the project, and everybody else involved to make it happen. And I think it was a success. Does it deliver all the violence and the sound and the fury as Gymkhana 7 or Gymkhana 5? Probably not, but there's definitely a learning curve here, and I think they're ahead of the curve. Like it's
Yeah.
actually really impressive. So that,
Yeah. No. Um,
and
I
I have
thought,
no involvement in that shit, so it's not like I'm tooting my own horn in any way. Like those guys,
no, no, no.
it's like a
I didn't
separate
get that
team. Yeah, yeah,
impression.
I know, but I just wanted to say that it was
Sure.
I that is my commentary as a fan, not as a
Oh,
Wheel Pros
okay.
employee.
Right. Right. Uh, I thought it was visually very. There were some very beautiful
Hmm.
shots. Some of the still photography that came out of it is
Yeah,
amazing. Just some gorgeous stuff. The stunts were absolutely incredible. To be able to control that car like that. And you mentioned the no center diff. Like, yeah, I mean, it doesn't need it. That's why you have the one motor on the front axle, the one motor on the rear. You're not waiting for drive shafts to transfer power.
right.
It's such an amazing thing that like it's going to be different at first, but then probably once Ken realizes what he can do with the
Right.
car, he's like, oh
Right.
shit. Like I can just sit there and loop it. I can throw it in as hard as I want and immediately get back on the power and
Yeah.
come back out. It must have been just such an insane torture test for those tires. Because I know they were mentioning wheel speed was like the highest they've ever
Right.
had for some stuff.
And they went through
Um,
something like 3 times as many tires as they normally do in a Gymkhana
mm,
film, because
I
the
believe
thing
that.
is
Yeah.
heavy as fuck. Like I think they said it's like 4,500 or 5,000 pounds,
Yeah.
and
Oh, I can see
it's
that for
it's
sure.
kind of an undersized tire. I think it's like a 265 or 275 versus like I think they normally run like 305s on the Hoonicorn.
That's
Right.
crazy.
So it's like you're asking a lot of those tires, and it's a special compound developed for Ken by Toyo, which I think is crazy also. But like, it's insane all around, the effort that goes into it. Like it's not just some fucking, oh, we just fucking threw together this car, thought we'd,
No.
no, there's a guy with a camera over here. Like, there's a lot of planning, there's a lot of logistics, there's a lot of direction, and just,
Right.
like setting up shots and deciding what will look cool and be visually stunning. Like, kudos to that team. Like they are, you know, they're the best at what they do. And as much as people want
Right.
to, talk shit and boycott an EV Gymkhana, like you're only punishing yourself. Like It's
I mean,
fucking cool.
the crazy thing is with the internet is it's always the ones who speak up, the ones who are the loudest, are both the happiest and the angriest. Everyone else is like, "Oh, it was
Hmm.
cool," and so like 90% of the people who watch that will go, "Oh, that's
Right.
cool." 5% go, "That was fucking amazing. I literally came in my
Right.
pants, literally." And then the other
Literally.
5% will
Do
be
you know
like,
what literally
"I
is?
fucking hate Hoonigan and I will bomb the
Yeah.
building." So like it's so whatever. You know, it's like the whatever. I
I
just
don't
don't
read the
want to
comments.
devolve into
I don't read the
politics.
comments on anything that I fucking am ever a part of, but I know Scotto
Yeah,
does, and I feel like that's like the most masochistic thing. I'm just like, dude, like I
I
know
sent him. I
you
sent
build content for an audience, right? But like the
right.
people that come in and watch your videos or just come to comment and just bash, like that's not your audience. And you know, you can't let that shit get to you. And I know that it's easy for me to say, like, I don't make media for a living, but I just, you know, I feel bad for, you know, the anybody that's under a spotlight like that and doing anything that's considered remotely controversial. And it shouldn't be controversial to make a video
No,
with
not
an
even a little bit.
EV in 2022. But yeah,
Right.
it's just like you said, the people that are most vocal are not necessarily the most informed. They're not necessarily your target audience. They're not necessarily, you know, equipped or intelligent enough to really even have an opinion on that shit.
You just enjoy it, man. It's a cool piece of footage of a car doing amazing things driven by a madman. I mean, he did donuts inside the lobby of the hotel. That was the
Yeah.
raddest shit. Was Vin in that scene?
Yes.
Was
Yeah.
that his
Yeah.
scene? He was okay. Because I saw the picture of him dressed as Depp from the
From Fear and
Fear
Loathing.
and
Yeah.
Loathing.
Best cameo in
Um,
history, in my opinion.
but no Sasquatch in this one, which was interesting. Or Scotto usually dresses up as like
Right.
something
And does
big.
the Segway
Um,
thing. I don't even think they had the
yeah,
Segway in this one. Yeah, they didn't.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it. I still
That's a missed
think
opportunity.
of all the Gymkhanas, um, I go back and forth on them. Sometimes I say LA, but I think San
Right.
Francisco might be the best
Five and
one.
seven are typically the standouts for most people.
Yeah.
Fi-
And of the Gymkhana cars, I want to say the truck is my favorite just because it's so
Sounds like
awesome.
ass.
But it's the
Oh,
Mustang. The
yeah.
Mustang's the
The
best one.
Unicorn just
It's
fucking dominates that thing.
yeah. Especially when they did
Unicorn versus the
Hoonicorn
world. Yeah.
versus the world and show you how
Yeah.
fast it is. And I was texting Scotto about that. I was like, "Yo, what's the gearing on that car? Like nobody's talking about the
Mm-hmm.
gearing on the car. It must be so insane." He's like, "Actually,
Like they go
well,
through gears so fucking quick.
yeah, but he said it's current like during the taping. He said it was set up in like its higher speed gearing. I'm like, that's
Right.
insane. That is
Yeah.
bananas. I thought it was cool. I sent Scotto a text. I've sent him like a text after every one since I don't know 5 or
Yeah.
7. I don't even remember, but I didn't hear back on this one, so maybe he's dealing with
Well,
the commenters.
it was Tuesday was definitely a crazy day for him, and I hope he's not reading the comments. But I think they had like a little post, like a little rap party at the Pike on Tuesday, and I said
Oh,
I was
nice.
going to go, and you know I'll take any excuse to go to the Pike, but I passed out on the couch, and I'm just like Mister Dad, like Scotto, like has a almost 3-year-old, and like he doesn't go out. Like, you know, he's like either working or home with the family, right? And like I live right down the street
Right.
from the Pike, and I'm there. I was just there last Friday.
You're like, I'm tired.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
tired.
Like the irony that the one time this dude goes out and he's just like, "We're getting drunk tonight." Like, I was like, "Hell yeah!" And then fell asleep at like 9 o'clock. So,
Awesome.
sorry,
Nice,
Brian.
nice. That's funny shit. Sorry, Brian. That's pretty funny shit. So next topic I want to cover is recently you and I got a chance.
Yes.
Recently, yes. Got a chance to experience. That's correct,
It's
right?
correct.
Okay. We went to a place called CXC Simulations, and they make some of the best simulators you can buy. And we're not talking like your Logitech and like some nice screens. Their base package is about $64,000.
God damn, I was wondering. I felt like the floor was 100,000, like based on the
That
experience.
floor one we
No,
drove
I'm just saying
was about
like
110.
the like minimum point of entry I felt like was 100 grand. Like that's
No, like
how impressed I was. So I didn't ask. I didn't want to ask. I was embarrassed because I knew you'd already gotten the details or whatever, but that doesn't surprise me at all.
I was there to write a story. Yeah.
64K feels like a bargain. I hate to say that.
So it's a like a full motion setup. That entry level one of theirs is, you know, fully integrated computer, speakers, and it's a single monitor setup. From there, you know, you add VR, you add triple monitors, you can add triple 55s, or you can add triple 77s.
You know what it is?
We drove one with the triple 77s, and we got to try the VR. It has these seatbelt tensioners that, so like when you're jumping a Pro 2 truck, it feels like you're airborne for a second. It was really impressive. We didn't even dive into like, because you can also just click a button and be into a flight sim. And that's the other crazy thing that he was telling me about, is they made it so brainless for their end consumer, where instead of like going in, clicking through the menus, exiting a program, doing all this stuff, because it's still a computer, you know, it's not like an Xbox, but they built into the dash of the
console
sim, it's all push button. So like, you're like, I want to do iRacing. You just push a button, and they code the computer to be like, all right, close this program, open this other program. All right, I want to switch to flight sim. You just push the button. You don't grab the mouse. You don't do this. There is a handheld mouse you can do when you're in iRacing to change tracks and select cars and all that shit. But they were very nice people, and the sim was awesome.
Totally. I just said 64K, and like I want you to expound on, you know, your experience, and like, because you got the whole rundown, and I just showed up and fucking got thrown to the wolves. But after 5 minutes with the triple 77 screen set up, I was like, holy fuck, like, how do you guys ever get out of these? Like, yeah, I would, if I own one, like, I would lose my job, I would lose my family. Like, it's exhausting, but it's so realistic, so much fun, and so eye-opening, and like, you know, you just want to improve and do better and like learn. And I could spend hours on that thing. Like I was blown away, and I came into that super anxious and like with no ego, but just like, I'm gonna suck at this, and I'm gonna last like 5 minutes, and I'm gonna fucking just throw the controller across the room, and I'm not gonna want to do this because I know I suck. But like within just a few minutes, like you can feel, you can sense improvement and like familiarity and getting accustomed to the environment, the controls, the feedback. Like, it's a lot of work, but it's rewarding once you start to figure it out.
Yep, 100%. Rewarding is a good way to put it. To compare it to when I had my, you know, much smaller, much cheaper sim set up here in my house, that I bought like right before COVID or during COVID or whatever, and is no longer here. And the reason is because you're like, I would never get out of this, but like at the end of the day, it's work, and then like come home, wife, kid, dogs, all this shit. The last thing I want to do is jump into that, because it's putting in work. It's like going to the gym, but in a much more fun, exciting way. This one it was so good. Were I a single man, I would still have a sim, just because you could find the time much more easier. But like, as you're saying, it's so immersive, so good, so fun. The tracks are real, because we stuck to iRacing for the purposes of our. They also had like Assetto Corsa you could do, which is visually actually even more beautiful than iRacing. I think iRacing's physics are better, I think, is typically the standard most people consider. But Assetto visually is even more impressive than what we were looking at. And then, just having the crazy part too is, as I discovered, the guy who owns CXC, Chris, who was taking us through it all, he's also a Lemons racer. And I've raced against them on track. They have a famous team. They have a car called the Chotus, which is a Lotus Elite with a Chevy V8. It's one of the coolest cars out there. It was there. We went back and looked at it. And as I'm sitting in the chair, I noticed the two lower belts had this bungee strap on. I'm like, what's that for? Like, was that part of the pre-tension system? Or he's like, no, that's part of our Lemons training.
Oh, I didn't hear that part. I didn't realize they had that in the race car. That's what. Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So he said it's what they do in endurance race cars. So like, as you're coming into the pits, typically you're undoing your belts because you want to do faster changes. We don't, because our team doesn't need to be quick with our changes because it doesn't matter for us. But they're competing for, victory in class. So the bungees, as soon as you unleash the lock to unlock the harness, it pulls those side belts to the side.
It snaps them to the side.
I'm like,
it's not. Yeah.
So I was like, that's so cool. He's like, yeah, but wait. The shoulder harnesses in our race car, not in the sim, but in their race car, they put rare earth magnets in the ceiling so that when they undo the shoulder belts, they literally throw them straight up, and the magnets are so strong it grabs the shoulder belts.
Sick.
So now the lower belts and the shoulder belts are out of the way for the next driver automatically, and that is one of the coolest things I've ever heard.
And I didn't even realize that
we're sitting there driving.
I didn't realize you were talking about the race car. I thought you were talking about like a sim option package.
No, this is their thing they put in for when they're practicing before Lemons races. So they're practicing for Lemons races in a $110,000 simulator. and we're driving this $110,000 simulator, and I'm the part that blows me away the most is their harness strategy for shitbox racing. It was one of the greatest parts. It was
you talk about over engineered. That's 100% the case.
It was so cool. They're building a rig because we can talk about it because they already built one. They're taking basically a short course truck, so just a little shell tube chassis truck, and they're building one for Norwegian Cruise Lines, which they've already done. So I think we could say they're building another one.
We said it.
But it's on it's the full truck. They build the sim into the truck and turn the whole thing into motion. And then because, short course trucks don't have front windshields, they put a fan under the cowl of the hood that blows air in your face matched to engine speed. Oh, the things they think of. He's telling me they also do stuff for the Department of Defense where they have custom built simulator software for high speed training for drivers. And I was like, oh, does it have to be visually good, or is the physics more important? He's like, well, the physics are obviously extremely important because we'll be doing pit maneuvers and stuff, but the visuals are way more important than you would think because it's like becomes muscle memory for these guys. And so that was it. He's like, we do other stuff for the Department of Defense that I can't talk about. I was like, that's awesome. That's so cool. What a cool business they were in. And the crazy thing too, before I went there, I thought CXC Simulations was like almost like a membership type place where like all the local pro drivers in LA and then some rich guys like, I'm coming in Tuesday to do some laps with my instructors. Like
they own their own
it's
shit.
A factory.
Yeah,
it's a factory. And then the sims that are there are like in the showroom, but it's not like you can like show up and be like, all right, I'm driving today. Like we were lucky just to be able to get to go do that.
Talk about your VR experience, because our experiences were totally disparate, but you crushed.
So I at first I wanted to try like non VR because those 777s are fucking triple sevens. The 777s are insane. Like that's bigger than the TV in my living room because my wife refuses to get a bigger TV, even though we have plenty of wall space. 777s in a tri-monitor setup is bananas. It was unbelievable, perfectly encompasses your vision, and it's really cool. However, when you slide into VR, shit changes because now you can look over your shoulders to
you can see the whole cockpit of
the other
of
cars
the car in real time.
Yes,
like
you can just look up and look at the sky. I mean, you can look down at your feet. You can peer closer to the gauges if you lean in. VR, I had VR briefly when I had my sim, and I used it twice because the first time I used it, I got nauseous. And then after that, I was fine, but I had a really nice 49-inch wraparound, which was perfect for my little in my garage setup. And it was really fun, even without all the motion that thing did. But the VR, I started out easy
Miata.
In a MX-5.
Yeah.
In VR, I did
and MX-5 is not
first.
a Miata.
Oh, I didn't hear you say Miata. I'm sorry. Cut out when you said it. I'm sorry.
No,
yes.
MX-5.
In the global,
I was like, okay, we're
MX-5. You don't call it a Miata.
I didn't know.
The global MX-5 Cup car, the ND. Yes, I drove that at Laguna or WeatherTech Raceway. So drove that, and it was great. It was fun. It's a Miata around Laguna. It's Laguna is an iconic track, and it's actually, once you do it a few laps, you're like, okay, I get it.
Right.
The corkscrew is not the hard corner. You know, everybody said that a million times. It's like you look at the corner after, blah blah blah. There's one or two that are tricky as well. Besides that, so then after that, I jumped to the radical, and it was crazy because now you're in VR, sitting on the right side of the car. You're lower to the ground. Speeds are so much faster. And talking to the two guys who were there, who are both Lemon's teammates, it's very much an aero car. So I did a few laps, and I just pushed harder and harder through the corners. And through that system, you can like feel that the grip is there. I don't know how to describe it because it shouldn't make sense, but whatever the physics or the math of their sim movement system is, like, I could just feel that I could run that car out to the corner, go faster through the next corner, and that radical was fucking incredible. And those guys have driven it in real life to test it, because they built one of their sims into a radical, real, for a customer. So when they took delivery of it, they were at VIR, and they're like, well, we got to do a few laps, you know, to see how the radical handles. And they said they were blown away. So like, that car just pushes into the ground. That car was fucking sick.
I have video of you lapping Laguna in the radical, and like, I don't know, you probably did 5 to 10 laps, and like, you were fucking nailing it from my perspective. But like, what was crazy was the display 77-inch monitor. Like, what you were seeing, we saw on one single 77.
Yeah, they cut it to
so
1.
It's like, we don't have your full field of vision, obviously, but like, your body movement within the rig was translated to that 77-inch monitor. So it was like, it was hard to watch.
Yeah.
Like, so because you're bouncing around in the seat, and it's, you know, we're seeing what you see in the headset, but you're moving with the headset. We're just seeing the headset's perspective, right? So it's like, it was super shaky, and it was like, it was really hard to watch, but still, like, I'll send you the video, but you were fucking crushing it. Like, you tell your confidence was like building every lap because of the aero. Yeah. And I was like, fuck, like, this dude could actually go out and fucking lap this car like this. Like, you got the line down. I was super impressed with you through the corkscrew, because you say it wasn't the most difficult corner. For me, it was like braking for that corner. Braking was the hardest part for me, because I don't know, like, braking is always the most impressive and surprising thing of any motorsport for me.
100%. I'm 100%.
Like,
I'm with you.
I'm used to driving on the street. Obviously, I've done track days. I've been on road courses, but like, I've always been in a street car that doesn't have, you know, any sort of actual roll protection, you know, no real like racing brake system, no harnesses for the most part. And like, you know, it's like, I'm easy on brakes. Like, you know, I don't take any chances. And I know every time I've done a ride along with like a pro driver, it's always been like, hey man, stop, you got to stop. And like, you know, they stop like 5 seconds later than I would ever imagine. And it's just fucking hammer the brakes, and fucking the car, you know, comes down to whatever speed they want, and then they initiate turning, right? And like, that's the hardest thing for me to translate from my style of driving to a sim or to like any sort of motorsport, because I'm like, there's no fucking way. Like, there's no fucking way we're going to stop from here. And, you know, once
the corkscrew is a great corner to prove that point, because you're going uphill, which is actually completely in your favor. And then, but as soon as you reach a certain point, you can start to see brake markers. But in the radical, those brake markers are early for that car. And so like, and the other crazy thing about the sim, it uses actual Tilton pedals, which are some of the best real pedals you can buy.
Yes.
Hydraulic brakes. I took a picture of Ron when he was driving it, because I didn't realize I heard them say hydraulic brakes, and I didn't think about
the
it.
Masters,
you peer at the brakes
right there.
There's fluid. Yep. Unbelievable. And you can still adjust like brake bias and all that shit. And there were a couple times entering 1 or 2 corners where I locked it up, but a quick release, and then you just go through the corner. Yeah, dude. Yeah. It was so cool. You put that radical on the roof.
I was going to say,
which is amazing to watch.
Learning curves were so disparate, because
I mean, I've done it. I had a sim for a bit. I probably have more track time than you. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. But like, I'll say, like,
Yeah.
I was impressed with myself and like my learning curve with the screen setup with the 7777s. Like,
Oh yeah.
I got the hang of that pretty
Yeah.
quickly. I feel like, you know, I'm not saying like I was beating any fucking records or anything, but it was just like,
No, you started
right,
whipping that
like, you know,
truck.
that
You
was
started whipping
something
the
that was
truck. Yeah.
familiar to me, is oversteer and like sliding through a corner and like, you know, initiating and like,
Hell
you know,
yeah.
there's no handbrake, but it was just like, all right, that's my corner. Like once I like after a couple laps and I figured out, you know, the brake bias and like the application of throttle, like the hardest part for me was being in the right gear and just remembering. Like I was
Yeah.
watching you and you were using the clutch pedal with like paddle shifters, and that was
Depending on the car.
so
Yeah.
unnatural to me. And I started out doing that.
That's because specifically that was more of the setup of that sim.
Right.
It wasn't set up with this with
Right.
an
But
H
then
pattern.
Chris,
So the car didn't
Exactly.
know that. So one of the cars I drove was the Mustang FR 500 or FR 5000S, and that car has an H pattern in real life, and it shifted better if you use the
so
clutch.
that's what
Yeah.
fucked me up. Like that's what threw me off, is I'm trying to clutch, like I thought it was necessary, and then Chris is like, yo, you don't have to touch the pedal, like you can just fucking use the paddle.
Especially in the
So I was like,
radical.
oh, all right, that makes things easier. But
Actually, the
yeah,
truck too.
but then I mean, I'm just making excuses here, but like, you know, but
that means you're a real
but
racer now.
It was like I didn't wear the right shoes. I wore fucking Vans that were untied.
Oh, see, now you're talking. I love Vans for
But
driving.
I
Actually, sometimes the heel hurts.
I just need a narrow shoe because like because now I'm ignoring the clutch. Like I was hitting the clutch when I was hitting the brake. I was hitting the gas when I was hitting the brake. Like, you know, I didn't really I had to get accustomed to the pedal layout because I don't have wide feet, but I had wide shoes on, and I was catching the other pedals because of the pedal placement. So
yeah,
it was definitely an adjustment, but I feel like I was starting to get the hang of it, and like, you know, I had to kind of tell myself like, stop overthinking this, like resort to muscle memory. Like, you know, I know what it takes to get a car sideways and to modulate and to get it through a corner, right? And like once I relied on my own muscle memory as opposed to what I was seeing and like, you know, what I was necessarily feeling, and just like trusted myself, like I know how to get this thing sideways, power out of the corner, when to shift. Like once I started kind of trusting my instincts, that's when I feel like it became not just more fun, but more gratifying. And like I started to improve, and like, that's all you can hope for from any sort of simulator, is like to basically boost your confidence and like improve your skill set. And I was totally like, like I said, I went into it with mad anxiety. I was like, I don't want to do this in front of anybody. Like, I don't want anybody watching me while I do this. But like, I drove the FR 500 too, and like, it was squirrely. I drove it at Sonoma like you did, and like,
that's
never
a tough course too.
had like a driver's perspective on that course. I've never been there, so like I know the course from watching the NASCAR race. That's it. And you know, it took me a while to get accustomed to that, but like I was starting to feel that, and then I switched to the Pro 2 truck, and that shit was just like bop, 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 like fucking like, you know, like I said, it was somewhat familiar to me, even though I've never driven on dirt like that. I was just like, I know how to like set myself up for these corners, right? And like once you kind of get into a flow and like you're enjoying yourself and you're not so like in your head, then it's like it's really gratifying, and like you improve like rapidly. The VR setup made me sick like almost instantly. Like I have a super strong stomach. I don't ever get car sick. I don't ever get seasick.
Right.
But I think my issue was like, they're just like, oh, you can't really adjust focus. You can just adjust the headset up and down to like find your point of clarity. And these are readers. I don't have a prescription. So these are readers, but they're like 2.25. And like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, it was probably like 4 years ago that the last time I had my eyes checked, I still had 20/20 vision in one eye, 20/30 in the other, but I'm just nearsighted or farsighted, whichever one it is, that like I can't focus on anything within like arm's length, right? So like I can't read a book without glasses. I can't read anything on my phone with that. I think you're right. That's why I'm not sure, because I feel like it's the opposite of what I think it should be.
I think. Right.
But Anyway, once I put the VR headset on, like everything was blurry. I couldn't really find any single point of focus. And like if there was just one single
Yeah.
point of focus, I think I might have been all right. But like I got out,
Okay.
I drove the Radical, and like in your wake, it was just like I don't want to drive this. Like this motherfucker just killed that. I was just
Uh,
like, I don't. Can
we
I
also
get
just had a single
right?
homie and a
Yeah,
double
yeah.
homie, or
We did
whatever the hell
have
those
some
burgers were
pretty
called.
fucking filling burgers, like and like getting bounced around in
Oh,
the seat was not the most enjoyable
yeah.
thing. But all of that aside, like I would have been fine if I could have found like a point of focus.
10, yeah, if you could have spent like 5 minutes really like dialing
Yeah,
in
and
the
like
headrest and
maybe
or
like I
whatever.
don't think my glasses would fit under there, but not Chris, but the other
Yeah.
guy.
I bet if you adjusted it, like I feel like if you took the time, you wouldn't even need the glasses. Like, I feel like if you're like, all right, hey, I just need
What
2 minutes to
if I had
fucking
known we were gonna do VR, what I think I would have done to prepare myself and my eyes is just not wear my glasses throughout the day,
yeah,
because
yeah.
my
Right.
problem is that I wear these readers like if I work from home, for example, like I'm in front of screens all day, so I have these on all day long, and then when I go outside,
Hmm.
it's like oh fuck, like if I get in the car I'm like, ugh, like I don't like to drive with
Yep.
my readers on, but sometimes if I've worn my glasses all
Oh,
day long, my eyes just will not adjust to the outside world. And I feel like my eyesight has definitely deteriorated, not just because of age, but because of wearing readers like all the time when I really shouldn't be. So yeah,
hmm.
I also got super nauseous the second that I got the VR goggles on. And I couldn't make a corner. I couldn't, I switched from the Radical to a Miata Spec Racer, and I couldn't get through turn one. Like I just like
Did you put that on
I
the roof
may
too?
have like the Radical. Like I don't even think I made a lap, and that thing was flipped. But the Miata, like I
That car is
couldn't. There was
insane.
no sense of speed. It was just like I'm looking at the gauges and it says I'm going 70 something miles an hour, but it feels like I'm going 20 and I should be able to make any turn. Like I don't need to brake. I can just turn and it's like, nope. Like the second I initiated a turn without brake, it's just off the course and like straight into the barriers. And like,
Yep.
it's super realistic as far as vehicle dynamics. And it's like, it's unforgiving and I appreciate that, but it's also at least with the VR glasses, it was disorienting. It was so hard for me to acclimate to my surroundings, and like you said, in the Radical, you sit so low, like you can't
Yep.
see below like here, right? It's like you're almost like sneaking a peek out of the vehicle, and I can never get acclimated. It took me I was maybe in there 10 minutes, and I was like,
Also,
dude, get me out of here! Like I can't.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's fun too, and like so. Imagine too, like the Radical is insane, but imagine if you hopped into an F1 car.
Yeah, there's
Rallycross cars are actually
yeah,
very difficult to
I imagine.
drive.
But like
Yeah.
just that the difference in seating position is so dramatic. Like being in that Radical, being so low, and like having to peer over the fenders, like it's not like a video game. It's very realistic and it's very I don't want to say off putting, but it's like oh wow these are the adjustments you have to make to your surroundings and to your visibility. Like your line of sight, like you can't it's not like going from one streetcar to another. It's like oh fuck, like I'm
No,
way down
no, no, no,
here and
no.
like my horizon line is changed
Yeah,
dramatically and my visibility is compromised in these areas so much. And like it's a real adjustment. It's a very real experience. I was thrilled to have been a part of that. Thank you.
yeah. No, of course it was fun, and they were so nice. They say come back anytime, and I'm going to take them up on that because I really want to go back and do the flight simulator.
Do you have any flight experience
I
or is
really,
that
now that I
just
think
a
about it,
whim for you?
that's more of I don't know. I'd always wanted to try like a good, like obviously it's not like a
Hmm.
airline grade flight simulator, but it seems like the quality of it would be pretty good based on what they offer. And then I would also really like to see what a
Yeah.
Seto looks like, because a Seto has like
Right.
drift modes and like
Right.
visually it's beautiful and shit like that. So I don't know. I just would like to. Um, I it'd be more fun if we got there at like 11 bought
Yeah.
them lunch
Yeah,
and like
for
stayed
sure.
till 2, you know? Like,
It's taxing,
and
bro.
like
Like
just like
you're
because
not
then
gonna. I'm not gonna do 4 or 5 hours in a simulator like that shit. I'm not. I'm not in that kind of shape. Like I was sweating.
no,
I was sweating
but it'd be
5 minutes
fun.
into it, and like I'm
Yeah,
not sore or like tired from the experience, but it's like it's taxing.
no, no,
Like
no,
there's a lot of steering feedback. Like
yeah,
you really have to work. Like it's not fucking pressing buttons on a controller. Like you're
no, it's not
physically
Gran Turismo.
fighting
It's
this
not. No,
vehicle, and it's real haptic feedback that you can't ignore or turn off. Like you've got to make the
right.
thing do the things, and just like in real life, it is.
It's awesome. I loved it. Shout
Mm-hmm.
out to CXC Simulators for letting us check your place out. You guys rule. That was awesome. I'm gonna ask you now. I'm assuming because I haven't heard anything that there's no updates
Nope.
on the fleet side of things.
I I committed to selling the S7 last week, as we know, for my.
I saw that. I
Well,
saw you post
I
that.
mean, I announced it in the podcast, but and announced what I want as well,
Okay.
which I probably should not have done. But no,
Why,
no,
people
not at
shitting
all.
on you?
Like, no, I don't feel like my friends don't even listen to this podcast or they don't even comment. Like, I just don't want to drive up prices on shit that I'm seeking. But yeah,
Oh.
no,
No, I thought you meant
no, no.
shitting on you for announcing a price of the S7. Like, because when you announced the price of the Tahoe,
Right,
I was like, "What?" And then you're like,
right.
"No, I sold it. I'm
But
good."
I expect kind of the same with the S7. Sorry for slouching back, but I expect the same. Like I just made a story post and I said 60K or close to it. I mean, there's a bunch of S7s like 16, 17, 18, basically the same car, the facelift S7 C7.5.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of them for sale for anywhere from 45 to 65 depending on mileage, depending on options. But there's not, like, this is the thing that's hard to convey with my car, is that there's only 49 others that were built with that spec package, and that was the only way you get the two-tone red and black interior. So it's a really special car. It's got every single option, including Bang & Olufsen, soft closed doors, radar cruise control, lane departure avoidance. Like, it's got every fucking option. So it's like I went and checked with CarMax and AutoNation today to see what they would each offer me for the car, and yeah, the offers were
35.
embarrassingly low. But it was just like you can't specify like this is an Audi exclusive interior. Like, it's just like, what color is the interior? Are there any rips or tears?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like basic questions. So
Right.
it's like, I don't know if there's really an Audi S7 enthusiast out there besides myself, but like if there were, like, this is the car that you want because it's the most limited, it's the most highly
Right.
optioned, and it's a sick color combination.
Mhm.
Like, you know, the car's tuned, it's got an intake, it's got wheels, exhaust, you know, like I said 60K or close to it, and I stand by that, and I'm not in any hurry to sell. I just don't want to own this car after the
How many
34,000.
miles are on it? So this could either be an awesome idea, more likely a terrible idea, but
An auction site?
like if you could get, yeah, I was gonna say if they let you use, because I know Bring a Trailer, like, I guess does the hard sell
Right.
to not put a reserve on a car, like because
Right.
it's their job to move cars, so they don't want reserves. But if you could get a reserve you were comfortable with, it'd be really interesting to see if people are like, oh, you know, because that website might be like, oh, it does have that interior.
Right.
That is interesting. And wow,
Right.
the tune's nice. But that's also the website where like those, like the boomers would be
Right.
like, what
Exactly.
the fuck are those wheels?
Like, it's you've got to
all right,
find
bro.
somebody whose taste aligns with mine. It's like I developed that wheel specifically for my car. You know, it's the luxury of being in the position that I am. I was like, we made that wheel as a forged wheel option for Jean-Pierre Kramer, JP Performance in Germany, for a Beetle, a crazy turbo Beetle, wide body Beetle that he built last year. That's why the wheel is called. Yeah,
like
it's
an
insane.
RSI?
Like, crazy wide body, like almost like IMSA like spec, and like the wheel is called the BTL because it's basically an homage to the Beetle, obviously, but it's really kind of Fuchs style. It's like a modernized Fuchs style. So it's like in my opinion, it would work on a Volkswagen, any VAG and Porsche product. Like I think can pull it off.
Yeah.
So I
Right.
developed that wheel for like larger sedans and SUVs. So, like I said, that's the luxury that I get, and I think the wheel looks great. But like, that's totally subjective, and somebody else might be like, "No, that fucking wheel is trash." So I have another set of wheels, and they're 20s and they're much more conservative and they're clean, they're forged. So it's like, you take your pick and you pay me, everything that I'm asking. You can have both sets, like whatever, you can interchange how you feel. But like, I don't know, man. It's like I tried to sell this car a few years ago when my ex and I split up, and it was just like, even then, I think we were asking like $60K, which is crazy. It's like 3 years later, and we're asking the same price.
That is crazy.
And like, people wanted to haggle and like fucking had.
That mileage
but
is
even
low,
back
though,
then,
man.
it had 13,000 miles or some shit. Like, yeah, the car hadn't been fucking broken in.
What's the MSRP on that car? Like 80?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you could like that's the thing. S7 started in like 70s, 80s, and they like every fucking option, like Bang & Olufsen, $6,000. The adaptive cruise control, $6,000.
That doesn't have the
like, it's like,
is that the B&O where the they might have stopped it by that one? They don't rise.
They do.
They do? Oh, cool.
They rise
because they don't do that anymore.
Like that's why, they
spinning.
But yeah, man.
Nice,
so it's like, it's like I don't know that there's anybody that appreciates a car for what it is besides me. It's like that car is DCT, like, tuned, it probably makes close to 600 horsepower, right? But it's got a DCT instead of the 8-speed that's in the RS7. So it's, to me, a much more fun driving experience. You have actual launch control that dumps the clutches at 5,000 RPM. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get that in RS7. Like, there's several unique experiences, that come with that car, but it's like I gotta make a video or fucking write a fucking thesis on what's so unique about it in order to get what I want out of it. And
that RS7 from the factory, though, the same era
fucking
as your car. Holy
so sick.
Shit.
Yeah. Like I would,
oh my God.
I would love. The only reason I want to sell is because I feel like this is my only chance to get some equity out of a car, and like, who knows what the economy is going to do in the next. Yeah, right.
The world's
like,
about to
we're headed for
collapse.
nuclear war. Like, let me enjoy.
Now's the time. You don't want to be left holding the bag on an S7 when we're drafted to go fight.
We got to be past draft age
in Europe.
We have to. Be, right?
Yeah. No, I'm good. Yeah. Well,
I'm
who knows how bad this war's going to be?
Who knows? I'm colorblind, so I feel like that is a automatic out. Like I can't camouflage. Everything is camouflage to me. Like I can't see anything anyway. But I don't know, man. Like I'm not desperate to sell the car. Like I fucking love driving the car. But it would be nice to just switch it up, do something different. Like every day, I'm like, SL would be cool. 8 Series would be cool. A fucking newer Mach 1 supercharged. Like every day I have a different idea of what I would want to replace it with. But
it'd be cool to get that fucking Mustang.
More than anything. But like that and the Lincoln are not dependent on the sale of the S7.
Right.
That would
right. No, of course.
Buy another daily that, is cool and comfortable. But
right.
I don't know, man. What's happening with you? What's up with the Jaguar? Yeah,
this lovely bitch behind me. Might be taking it to a place next week to have someone eyeball it who knows a thing or two about smog law, and I will dive deeper into that based on how much I can and can't say because I don't know yet. So I want to wait till I get clarification. But they're going to be able to look at it and go like, "Oh, yeah, you're good," or like, "Oh no, you're totally fucked." So that'll be very interesting. And I think it could go either way on the car. It's running fine. I haven't driven it in a week and a half, 2 weeks, because I just had the GV60.
There's
which
a
was
60 and a
awesome.
70. What else? 60, 70, and 90.
GV60 is the electric one. There's a GV60, GV70, and GV80 on the SUV side. On the sedan side, it's G70, G80, G90. And then there's electric G80 as well. But then there's an electric GV70 coming. But the GV60 is sick because I could drive it without using the key. I forget if I said this on the podcast, but like I can open it with my eyes, and I can start it with my finger. Like
how easy is that to program though, and like how susceptible is it to failure?
It took the guy came in who dropped it off. He's like, all right, I just need a minute. All right, now go outside,
where do you
scan your eye. All right, hop back in, do your fingerprint.
No shit.
The B pillar, there's a little thing. Yeah, on the B pillar. And then there's like, you like tap where like you would, you know how when if you have like keyless entry, there's like lines raised on the door handle. You just kind of touch that. Yeah, and it's like, oh, someone's touching this, doesn't have the key. A circle appears on the B pillar, and you like put your eye up to that, and it turns green. Yeah. So then you get in the car. Now the car's unlocked, and then when you sit down, you put your finger on this little square that looks like what we used to do thumbprints on iPads. And then the thing pops up in the dash that says like biometric passed, car can start now.
That's
or some shit like that. Yeah, it's sick. And then this past week I've had the Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xe Trailhawk, which is like the best one.
I think it's on some pretty aggressive ATs, expensive. Right? Like when I pulled up the CXC, I was surprised to see those tires. I was just like, there's no way that comes from the factory.
They look aggressive. Yeah, because I mean the Trailhawk is the one that is a little bit taller, more ground clearance, more aggressive, low range, and then there's like fancier trims like Summit and Summit Reserve wouldn't have the knobbies. They look aggressive, but if I bought that truck, I'd swap them out because they're actually not that impressive of a tire. But the truck itself is gorgeous. Interior, like that's a really premium, and it should be because it's
how much is it?
As fuck. The MSRP is in the 60s. I built one online the other day to see where it would land, and I was at like 71. And there's two trims above it. Yes. The Summit and Summit Reserve are already in the 70s. But I think if you buy one of those, you don't like really need
other
options.
Shit
like,
that optioned up in the what is it? No, the one you had.
Summit and Summit Reserve.
Trailhawk, yeah.
Trailhawk.
Most of that shit's included, so.
Yeah, those ones. But if you're going to buy one, like the Trailhawk is like still a great Jeep off road. So like that's a good one to get. And then
it was.
It was good.
I had to peek inside. Like I was dying to see what the interior of that looked like because I've heard so many good things about the new Grand Cherokee. I was impressed. Looks nice.
Yeah, it's a really, really nice truck. I'm pulling up my phone right now, so we can jump over to questions.
Never mind me while I open string cheese.
All right, that's hilarious because I was going to tell you something off camera that I thought you were actually doing, and I was going to wait, and I'm like, oh my god, are you really doing that right now?
No, I'm not.
You weren't. Okay, so like I eat weed every now and then. I like to drink Ron drinks, like nothing crazy there. I literally was about to like be blown away. I saw a flash of white, which was apparently string cheese, and I saw your head go down. I'm like, yo, are you really doing
Nobody
this
needs
on
to see
camera
me
right
eat
now?
string cheese, bro.
Now I get it. You're being very respectful, but I was like,
I only had time for a snack before this.
I'm fucking dying. I saw you do it. I'm like quiet. I'm like, but if anybody watching, go back and watch my face the first time you see the flash of white on screen, you'll be like, oh, Jeff
ripping the
noticed
package open
something.
with my teeth because I can't with my hands. I'm like, that should be the first sign that I don't need string cheeses. If you can't open it with your hands, you don't deserve it.
I'm fucking like, I'm about to start crying over here. That shit is so funny.
You ever seen the meme?
My god!
You ever seen the meme where how old black men eat bananas? It's like you just break them into like little pieces and fucking shake them around like they're not about to stick the banana in their mouth, so they're just like,
oh yeah. yeah. Because yep.
They can't be seen eating a banana like a banana.
Yep. Right, ridiculous. All right, first question. Ogrehan81. Everyone loves old school regular cab short bed trucks, yet no one buys new modern equivalents? That's the question, because it ends on a question mark. You are correct, because everybody wants room. My uncle actually has a short cab Ram, and when I saw it, I was like, "Oh shit, that's rare to see." Like just the shorty cab Ram 1500 pickup.
Shorty bed.
Regular cab.
RCSB. I mean, you're not wrong, but that's just like the accepted nomenclature. RCSB. Regular cab, standard bed.
Oh, okay.
Or short bed.
Yes. Well, that's what it is. Yeah. Yes.
I don't know, but you said
I said standard,
shorty cab. That's what fucked me up.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been drinking wine, and you've been snorting string cheese, so he asked he had a question.
Yeah, but
you answered your own question.
I mean,
no,
assuming
that
he wanted an explanation, I think.
Yeah,
I have one. Like I'm a fan of the sport truck. I always have been. Like regular cab, short bed has always been like my favorite body style of any truck. We really haven't had like a high performance sport truck like that since the Lightning. There's been special editions where dealerships or tuners will fucking supercharge, a regular cab short bed F-150 or Silverado or whatever. I think the reason why those hardly exist anymore is because they've gotten so tall, they've gotten so big, the proportions have gotten so out of hand that they look silly in that configuration.
They do look silly.
Like, if you were to lower a current F-150, like basic spec, regular cab short bed, like you need 24s or 26s for it to look right proportionally. Like when you see these trucks on like 17 and 18 inch drag wheels and slicks, there's no tire that's tall enough to fill those wheel wells even on a lowered truck. So like there's mad gap and they just look silly. So it's like, the proportions lead people, and the fact that pickup trucks have basically replaced like luxury sedans in most manufacturers' product offerings. Like everybody wants the 4-door, like the Super Crew, the Crew Cab, whatever their nomenclature is. Yeah, it's like they've become luxury vehicles. So it's like you want all the room for your rear seat passengers. You want all the creature comforts.
I challenge Ford to make a single cab luxury truck marketed at gay men called the Queen Ranch.
I was with you. I was like, fuck yeah, luxuries.
That would be the most awesome.
I was like, yeah. And I'm like, oh well.
I would just love to see the marketing behind it, how offended all these tough assholes in truck country would be. Two proud gay cowboys hop out of the Queen Ranch. Fucking, I would
we need to get
celebrate and cheer that shit.
Render that spec. Because we take time to.
We know someone who could draw up a Queen Ranch. We just got to do it in a way that we got to make sure we have it. We run it through our respective.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Like,
I feel like
this.
I feel like
funny.
That's not the vehicle they're looking for at all. But
no, I mean there might be like a proud gay Texan who loves trucks, doesn't want a King Ranch. I mean, it doesn't need to be called a Queen Ranch, but the Queen Ranch is funnier for the purposes 100%. Of this joke.
Yeah.
Do it, Ford, you cowards.
Yeah. Like,
so you were saying
next question.
So Sean Keeley asks, are panoramic glass roofs stupid, heavy, expensive, and makes the interior get hot faster? I like a big panoramic glass roof. However, the problem is that automakers think that instantly equals luxury, whereas like European market versions of the same car, especially something German, obviously they don't offer it because those customers don't want it because it's just unnecessary. So like we can't get a Taycan wagon in the US with a steel roof. You can't get it. It only comes with a panel roof because that's what the US customer wants. So like,
I love them.
I like them
with a shape, with either a full, option to black it out, like regular roof with an actual hard I don't want to say hardcover, but an actual solid cover, or at least a
Yeah,
sunscreen. Like it drives me crazy in Teslas that there's not any sort of fucking screen, and there's really, I mean, I know it has like a UV coating, but it's still annoying that you can't black that out or at least minimize and adjust
right.
the opacity and the amount of UV radiation and sunlight that comes in.
Yep, yep. I think it's oddly enough, I think it's the Toyota Venza, which is, a hybrid crossover that has a roof where you can hit a button, I think, and change opacity of the roof. And it's wild. And Porsche has you can do that and it's an
I
option
think
on Porsches
Mercedes
actually too, I think.
initiated that, like introduced it with the SL like
With the
10
SL.
12 years ago, whatever,
Yeah.
10 years ago. Yeah. It's
Yep.
fucking cool. It's
Something
like,
like
it
that.
really
That
is
was like a
like
dial.
fucking
Yeah.
magic, but
It is. Yeah.
it's also expensive like magic.
Yeah. Sean Keeley also asks, are all the modern luxury options making cars too expensive? No, I would argue that it's hitting it's a combination of trying to hit fuel economy numbers while also stuffing these cars full of required safety equipment. So the cars are insanely heavy. Also, on top of that, every single part you could imagine is expensive right now. I don't think it's the options. Like, I don't think like CarPlay is necessarily an expensive thing to add. Um, and I think it's just these cars are filled with like safety sensors and all that shit, and it's all expensive to manufacture. I just don't think it's like, a
Right.
cooled seat is what's driving
I
up the price
I
of
don't
a
want
brand
to
new
disagree
Accord.
with you for the sake of disagreeing with you, because I think that is a very valid point. But at the same time, especially with luxury car makers, like if a dealership orders a car, they're gonna order it with all the options. Like they're not gonna order a stripper fucking
Sure.
you know E63. Like they're gonna option that to the max because they know they'll find a customer.
Right.
Additionally, like, people when they go to spec cars, like especially luxury and, sports cars, like they want to fucking tick every box and make it as individual as possible. Also, to his
Sure.
point, like the option packages where you can't, like when you try and spec a car, like it's super frustrating. I was fucking around with like the C8 configurator, the C8 Corvette configurator last year, because I was just like, oh, if I can get a car at sticker, like I can maybe make sense of this for a while, right? And I thought there was a chance I could get a card sticker. But
Yeah.
anyway, like I start to configure the car and it's just like, okay, I want this interior, color scheme and these materials. And when you'd click on that, it would show as like a $1,800 option. But then it would erase a bunch of other options that you wanted, and it would require you to step up to another options
Yeah.
package that added like $6,000. So it's like, it's that way with a lot of manufacturers. It's like, Audi and Black Optics, like Black Optics includes a lot of times like sport exhaust on S models and RS models. And like, it's like, it's not just blacked out window trim. It's a complete options package that
Right.
eliminates some color combinations and forces you to level up in other options combinations that, really, to get what you want, it's not $1,500. It can be like 4 times the price. And yeah, that obviously drives up the cost, because it's like you have to decide what's most important to you, and if you want to spring for the one thing that requires 4 or 5 other things.
Sure. Sure. I took his question more to be not like, are all the modern luxury options making luxury cars
But
too
I don't think
expensive?
it's
I read it
just
as more of a
luxury cars.
general
I think that's
statement.
just become
Was
kind
like,
of the
where?
norm. It's just like manufacturers are packaging things that aren't necessarily
Yeah,
correlated
that's true.
and
That's true.
required of one another. It's just like you want the sport look. Okay, well you got to get
Right.
these
Which is
dampeners, you
why.
got to get this diff, you got to get
Yeah.
these wheels and these tires. It's
Right.
like
Right. Right.
you can't look sporty and not be sporty. It's like you gotta.
Right.
It's like, well, I didn't. What the fuck does the
Right. Right. Right.
sunroof have to do with Alcantara?
Right.
Fucking, yeah. It's like you
Hundred
can't
percent.
you can't order a la carte
Hundred
anymore.
percent.
Like everything is packaged with something else.
No. 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 Yeah, you can, except
Right,
on the
right,
Hellcat, the
right,
jailbreak,
right.
but you're already starting at a Hellcat, so you're fucked.
Yeah,
Taco
dude, absolutely.
_ Billionaire, which is still one of my favorite names. Do Autopia 2099 tickets include entry to the Peterson? Surprisingly, I've never been. I'm still working to confirm that, so I don't know for sure. I know it's something we've talked about, and I really would love for it to be the case, because $5 to get into both would actually be cheap for the Peterson. So that's why I don't want to give you an answer. I will follow up and post a reply to that ASAP to let you know. Initially, the thought was no, but then they were talking, there's that way that we can make that happen. I think we just had to put out more money on our part, so I will let you know. Mein Coffee Clutch asks, what's the most memorable bumper sticker you've ever seen? I don't remember a bumper sticker, but I do have a very clear memory of a personalized plate that my wife got a picture of. I mean, years and years and years ago, well before our daughter was born, before we owned a condo, before like we still lived in Huntington. She took a picture of a plate because she's like, I can't believe this car. It was because in California you can get symbols on plates. So it was I, heart, and then it was MLFCNT.
I'm not gonna say it.
What's your first thought?
Yeah.
But I know your answer. However, there was also a Disney sticker on the car.
Maleficent? Is that how it's pronounced?
So Maleficent. So I think they wanted to say, I love Maleficent. However,
if I say it, will you make this?
And if they didn't mean this and they played it, I already changed it to in the simulation as the title of the episode. But I love what we think this. I can't make that a YouTube title because we'll get.
You got me
blocked,
to say it.
but I heart MLFCNT. No,
I said it.
They're smart enough. Everybody listening is smart enough. They get it.
So you can.
No, you said it.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to edit it out.
Right.
Because there might be somebody who goes, "Oh." So every now and then, my wife and I will still joke about that plate. Because it was honestly, it might have been 15 years ago. It might have been that long ago. And I still think about that plate every now and then, because that person was like, either they actually really do love Maleficent, or they pulled a sneaky past the DMV. And then I saw another one years ago that I think about too. That was there's a hand symbol, and it was hand LMYBIZ. I was like, that's fucking dope. Handle my biz. I'm like, that's dope.
There's a few.
It's corny, but it's dope.
I remember seeing this on Jalopnik back in the day. There's a few. Virginia was like always regarded as like the most lenient when it came to vanity plates. No, well, okay, maybe Maine. Both, but like Virginia for sure. And like there was a bunch of plates that had the hand, and like they either reference like masturbation or something weird with kids, and like people applied for these plates just to prove a point, just to see if they could get them, and they got them, and it was just like always like, oh, what the fuck? Like, how did we allow that?
Well, the famous one in Virginia that was an early Jalopnik article was because the plate.
Exactly.
I knew the plate was kids first.
Yes, that's what it was.
And eat the kids first. But then they did a follow-up story years later. Maine was for a long time. I think it's changed just recently. I could be wrong, but Maine doesn't care. Like you just file it, and they did it. So people were getting stuff through like that said like, fuck you, and like shit like that on their plates.
So
which you can't do here.
It was creative, just the anniversary. I just saw I was reminded on Instagram, like I posted this 2 years ago today, I guess. But I tried to get 777 Ho for my Tahoe, right? And it got denied. And then a bunch of people, HOE. Yeah, everybody refers to Tahoes as Hoes. Like, it's always been like a play on words, low ho, if you had like a body drop Tahoe, whatever. Like,
yeah. So
I don't remember what my explanation was. It's probably honest, like the name of my business, like all my social media handles are 777 style. This is a Tahoe, like commonly nicknamed and referred to as a Ho, so like it's 777 Ho. Didn't get approved. So a bunch of my friends, like, no, I was not surprised, but a bunch of my friends,
were you surprised?
Sent me like articles immediately afterwards when I said that it wasn't approved, because I guess California repealed the law that allowed the DMV to basically discriminate on and regulate your plate. Like basically, it's
really?
an infringement of your First Amendment rights for them to say what you can and can't have. So this was probably like within it
Wow.
was definitely within the last 2 years, and it was either a resolution that
I
was
didn't know
passed
about this.
or a referendum, whatever. Like they basically said it's a free for all now. Like you can get whatever the fuck you want. But if
What?
the plate that you want has been applied for and rejected before, then it's off the table. So it's like if I had
Oh
waited 6
no.
months, then I would have been in the clear. Like
Ah.
I welcome any listener, anybody that knows more about this to chime in and like comment and like let us know what like the current status is. But that I tried again
Fuck.
once I heard that, and I heard that the resolution had passed or whatever it was. I tried again and was denied. So I was like, motherfucker, like if I had waited 6 months, I probably would have been good. But
Damn.
you live, you learn.
That would
Yeah.
even be because even if you bought you
Oh, I
had it
wouldn't.
on the
Yeah.
truck for a little bit,
Yeah.
sold it just to
So I
have
had
one of the plates on like the wall.
777 STIL on that car or on that truck. And I don't know if I ever told the story about how one license plate got stolen. Some dude fucking broke into my truck while I was parked at work over the weekend, lived in my truck, pissed in a bottle and left that bottle in the truck, fucking left all the fingerprints all over it, organized my receipts and my CDs,
That's a pretty big
and
apartment.
then just left. Didn't steal anything but the
so
front
meth.
license plate, which I kept
So
inside
meth.
like on the dash. He stole that and the registration, and the
That was a
idiot got pulled
souvenir.
over in a stolen car like a month later with my plate and my registration. And I got a call and it was just like, do you know somebody by the name of so and so? I was like, absolutely not. And they were like, would you have ever given this person access to your vehicle? Did you leave your vehicle unlocked where he may have accessed it? No, absolutely not. He broke into my truck. He stole my license plate. What's up? They're like, yeah, we pulled him over with the stolen vehicle. And I don't know if he had my plate on the vehicle, but they just said that they found my plate. And I never went to go get it or anything. I was just like,
Right.
like, I didn't use the front plate on the front of the vehicle anyway. So I was just like, it's a fucking pain in the dick to go
I know, but it's I
to a
love
police department. Well, I have one.
I love
I
hanging
still have.
my
I didn't.
plates
Yeah,
on the wall.
I didn't give the
Okay,
new owner
okay.
of the
If you
title
have one,
my
then who cares?
fucking
Yeah.
personalized plates. I kept that shit. So I have one. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
anyway.
That's good. Let me pull this back up. Next question. Blah 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 blah. Taco Bell. We'll get back to you. We did Mind Coffee Lunch. J.A. Whitehead, are you racing Filthy 50 this weekend? That's a mountain bike race. No, I didn't even know about the Filthy 50. Way too out of shape, and I would have done the 30 or 35, whatever the shorty is. And there's like a kids one. I probably would have been in the kids one. Dissonance Smithing, Jensen Interceptor or Jag XKE? This is actually a much harder question
it's not for me.
than, well, I don't know if it is for you, but it is for me because I'm going to preface this by saying driving an E-Type was a 100% meet your heroes moment. I got to drive an E-Type for about a day and a half around the perimeter of Lake Tahoe. 64 and it was like a series 1.5 car, so it had a synchroed gearbox, which is important. It had the 4.2, which is important because I guess the 12s are a nightmare. It had the proper straight six Jag sound, which sorry baby, which I think is essentially the same engine as this car. It, would have I think it's the same engine, which is wild. And the guy who owned it was a rock star, former Air Force pilot who then went to work for Northwestern for 35 years. He used to tow a motorcycle behind it, so it had a hitch on the back. And he just gave us the keys for a day and a half. Well, I drove it for this classic car show that didn't go anywhere with my gorgeous co-host, who wasn't like really a car person. Halfway through the day, or no, on the end of the shoot, we're driving it back, like crew's broken. We're like, all right, we got to take the car back to so-and-so's house. I'm like,
yeah, what?
And we had the top up the whole time, which is like sacrilege for that car. But like for audio purposes, we had the top up. I'm like, hey, Jael, can we put the top down? She's like, absolutely. Put the top down, running through the gears around Lake Tahoe, sunset. And she's like, like I can see her looking around, and
Yeah.
she looks at me. She goes, "I get it, I get it." I'm like, "There it is." Car was amazing. Drop it back off to the guy. And he's like, "All right, did you enjoy it?" "Yep, thanks, great." Boom, leave it in the driveway. I was like, "What a fucking boss to just be like, yeah." But the shoot was sponsored by the insurance company that insures his car. So if anything happened, even though that car though, like
hard to
he's had it
replace.
for a very long time. He had a crazy story that I'll touch on for 2 seconds. He bought one with a friend. They both got shipped off to Korea or Vietnam.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
trying to
they
remember the
didn't buy those
timeline.
cars before
His car though, before he
Korea.
left, got
Korea was in the 50s. Yeah.
Was it? Okay, so Vietnam. They bought one before they got shipped off. The dude whose car I drove, he had one. His E-Type. He got T-boned. Car was destroyed. He was fine. They ship off. His buddy gets shot down and dies, but like left him the car, the other Jag. So that's like the Jag I drove. Like
yeah, that's what I said.
So like yeah, it's
Irreplaceable.
insured, but it's like please don't also destroy that car. Yeah, irreplaceable. But he's like, he just literally tosses the keys. He's like, all right, have fun. It's like, what a fucking, oh my God. So, but all that said,
really?
Jensen Interceptor all the way.
Yeah, totally.
Yep, 100%. I love the looks of it. I mean, it's American V8 power. I know someone who owns one and also owns a Jag and owns a series Defender. And anytime he posts a picture of that Jensen, it's like, fuck, that is high on my list to own someday. And it might be a temperamental nightmare with a Chrysler engine, but
that was my answer too. I don't know if that's what you anticipated.
So badass.
But so that's my buddy Chuck that asked that question. So I appreciate it. I don't think it was a loaded question at all. Like I think he, it could have gone either way for both of us. But I only say Interceptor because I have an experience with an Interceptor, not personally, not driving one, like not one in my life, but when I lived in West Hollywood, there was this dude that used to drive a right-hand drive Interceptor, like all on the back streets. Like, it's like when you live in West Hollywood, like you're not fucking cruising Sunset. Like you're avoiding Sunset at all costs. You're avoiding Santa Monica at all costs. Like you're on Franklin, Fountain, like all the other fucking side streets. Like
you're on a street that everybody else knows from outside of California.
Going to and from dinner and, bars or whatever, like, I always had something crazy from work. I would either be like, I'd have to shake down customer cars and like, take them home and stuff. So I had all sorts of shit, C63s, Ghosts, fucking CTSVs, and like personal cars, like crazy shit. But there was this dude that had a white right-hand drive Interceptor that I would see all the time. And every single time I'd like come up to a light next to him or opposing him, I'd be, what the fuck is that? Because it just looks so different. It's like wide and it's like bulbous and like it actually had a cool stance. Like that's what like drew me into it. I was just like, what the fuck is that? Like I could never figure it out. And then he'd roar off from a light and like he wouldn't drive like an asshole, but he'd just like move away like kind of swiftly, and it fucking sounded so good. And I was just like, that's an Interceptor. Like, I've read about him, I've seen him in magazines, but like never had any sort of like personal experience with him. But like that car, that dude that I never met, but was just like, like a mainstay in the neighborhood, like on these like back streets of West Hollywood, like that sold me on that car. I was like, that is like some gentlemanly, like gangster shit.
Hell
like that. No, nobody has that. Nobody else has that.
It is. Yes. It is such an underappreciated machine. Not by you, clearly, not by me, clearly. But you just said it. It's like, it's not in incognito because it looks different. People are like, what is that? Probably harder rear glass to get than the first gen Cudas, but I think most of them come with like 440s under the hood, like, some Mopar. I don't think they had 383s. I think it was 440s, like big Mopar engines. And I love Mopar.
Totally.
So, I mean, think about what you could do to that engine, what you could do to that car, still keep it, stock looking on the outside. You don't have to go crazy with it because you could just do some fun shit, make amazing noise. And it looks like, a classic gentleman's car. A gentleman's car. Absolutely. Like if the young dude from the Kingsman series had to pick a car, it'd be
I don't
like
even know
a
what that is,
Resto modded
I
Jensen
imagine
Interceptor,
like some 70s like dapper fucking like groovy ass motherfucker. Like,
yeah. He's like, do I know how to do a burnout? Motherfucker, I invented them. You know, like something like, yeah, 100%. Our friend Type R Kelly, who you should connect with because he has expressed interest in the truck. I'm just going to put that out there. Yes. Have you guys seen how much Jay Leno has been getting hate for having Biden on there? I didn't until I read this comment, and then I went and looked under the YouTube, or I went and looked on Instagram, and oh my God, it's an absolute nightmare. It's to be expected based on the size of Leno's audience and probably who's like, oh, Jay's one of us. And he had an episode with the president on, and the president's a car guy. So people are like, I can't watch this. Like the way how far we're divided, where you can't watch what used to be my favorite car show, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure they don't even mention because Jay's like so safe. They probably don't even mention one fucking thing about politics. They probably talk about cars the whole time. So, and he replied, Type R Kelly followed up. I feel like those are the people that commented on your Jeep video. And yes, it's like the Jeep video were their kids. The people commenting on Leno's video are like their parents. Though I'm old and that video's old. So, yeah, I saw it, and it's a shame because he literally just had, he had Obama on too, I think, or no, that was Seinfeld had Obama, but I wouldn't be surprised if and he might not have. I'm not going to say that he did, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jay was like, let's see if Donald wants to, do a fucking, we'll go in a limo. And Trump's like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Way to showcase your impressions.
I'm making excuses. Thank you. The best impression, by the way, if you're looking for a really good Donald Trump impression, Shane Gillis, amazing comedian who got kicked off of SNL before he even got on SNL, has an amazing special where he does the funniest Trump segment I've ever seen. And if anybody wants it to know more specifically, hit me up and I will email you the link because it is fucking amazing. That dude is hilarious. But yeah, it's a shame that, but it's not. In this day and age,
you have any political figure on, like you got to expect a certain amount of backlash from either side. Like our politics have just become passion, not anything based in rationale, based in actual politics. It's all a cult of personality now. And like, I wouldn't watch a Biden episode before any sooner than I'd watch a Trump episode of any sort of car show. Like it just, it's going to be polarizing, and like, I'm not a fan of either. So, I'm not going to watch it. So I will not have a reaction to it, but, that's what you expect. Like you cannot fucking engage with any sort of political figure without expecting backlash. Like it just is what it is. But like, it's just sad that you cannot.
I mean, they put him on. They had to know.
You can't. You can't. Yeah, you can't even pretend to be
just
unbiased.
have him on as a car guy.
Just having him on is a statement that you're in support to his political opponents, and it's fucking outrageous. Like, have a platform where everybody's invited, and whoever shows up, and that shouldn't be a judgment on the guest or the production or the producers or anybody else involved. But that's that's a day that has passed. We are far beyond that in today's political climate. So
yeah,
I think it's unfortunate, but it's not unexpected.
Right. Like, not at all. No. Yeah, I agree with you. On that note, this is a longer one for us, which is pretty good. Hopefully everybody's ear holes are lapping it up. Hopefully you're enjoying it. The Hooniverse podcast t-shirt is almost up. I think we're entering the final stretch. So if you haven't gotten it, try to get one soon. Yeah, the Alpine Chiclets. Jump on one if you want to get one. Do it now.
Me too.
Check it. Make sure I actually have to buy them if I want one. So I got to make sure I bought one. Yeah. I don't.
Nice.
I buy that and then like a few bucks goes back to me. Like I don't get a discount code, and I buy one for Sloan and I buy one for my wife. I'm like, hey, here's your t-shirts.
Kitchen counters with them.
I paid for
months later.
Yeah, no, Sloan. They wear them. Jen wears them to like bed. Sloan wears them around every now and then. I think they appreciate that. I think they
Right.
appreciate.
Right.
I don't. I'm not upset either. I'm
Yeah,
not
of
upset
course.
either way. I actually
That's
do
cool.
enjoy seeing them wear them, though. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, grab one if you can. Otherwise, we will chat
Yeah,
with you.
we don't want to hear
Wonderful
from you.
people. Well, we won't. You'll hear
No,
us
no
chat with each other,
comments.
and we will.
I'm
No.
kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, yeah. Questions.
No,
Yeah.
we do. Well, no comments, but questions. We want the questions. Comments, questions. Yeah, we're good with those. We'll see y'all next week. Bye. I gotta wait.
Hang
I gotta
up.
pause because I always cut you off. Do you have any outgoing message?
We're done, right?